Hello, everybody. Happy Veterans and Armistice Day. Uh, Bastard, I hope that made up for being like a minute late. Apologies. Had some vet stuff to do today and it ran a little bit longer than expected. Um, I honestly, I was listening to some very incredible men tell some truly incredible stories. They just wow. I yeah, I don't have I I wish I had an ounce of their amazing, incredible just experience and just listening to them talk about some of the stuff they went through really makes you appreciate everything so much more. The fact, that they've what they've went through and how a lot of them they still talk to each other if they're still alive. I got to talk to some Vietnam vets, some Korean vets, Desert Storm. I even got to speak to a World War II vet. So it was a good day. It was a very good day and I felt about 2 inches tall because this one man, holy cow, he had some serious chest candy going on. And for anybody that doesn't know what that means, it's your ribbons, your stack, your medals, all that shiny stuff you see on their dress uniforms. That's what we're talking about. He did some crazy stuff for sure. So happy Veterans and Armistice Day, lest we forget. I'm probably gonna repeat that several times tonight. But tonight, I figured we would do my if I had to absolutely choose 10 military and or war films that I would watch again and again and again, these would be my 10. They may be subject to change. Not likely. And then I also have I've got honorable mentions in there as well. So it's I think I've got a total. I wanted to make sure that I had enough. I've got a total of 20. So my 10 and then 10 honorable mentions. Uh if that makes any sense at all. Um but yeah, I'm really really looking forward to tonight. I hope you guys are too. Uh there's there's a lot of really great films out there. You're going to notice some themes or more accurately um it's very similar actors and actresses are going to probably pop up that you're going to notice and you're going to be like, "Oh, well, fancy that." It's not that I have a type. It's just that if you make a good war film, you make a good war film. Like that's kind of all there really is to like I know that yeah, I that's all I got. Like really truly um I these are just some of my absolute favorites. Um so let me unboomer myself really quick here. I can do that. I can unboomer myself if we just nope, boomered that. All right. So, I hope everybody has had a fantastic day. Um I know that a lot of people uh no, I'm not going to say it that way. I know that today can be especially tough for a lot of people. Um and I just wanted to let you guys know that I totally get it. I don't expect any real craziness to happen or anything like that. I wanted to share this piece of myself with you guys, and I know anybody who possibly has family that's served, it can be a lot. It takes its toll on the family members too. So thank you for that. Um, for everyone who puts up with us crazy, crazy, insane people. Now, uh, the way that this is gonna work, I'm gonna play the trailers in the background, but they're gonna be muted. And hopefully that will be transformative enough that they won't boot me from the stream like they did when Subhuman and I were talking about Bill and Ted. That was ridiculous. So, first up, so number 10 on my list, and should not be a surprise to anybody who sort of knows uh marine culture, I guess. Um is going to be Full Metal Jacket. This movie is, I mean, it's iconic, really. Like, you, even people who aren't in the military, um, they still know this movie. I mean, it's got like, I can't tell you how often Private Pile gets referenced in non-military situations. I mean, like, and this film did a fairly decent job of depicting some of the crazier stuff that happens, especially during this time frame, when there was literally no room to be any kind of weak. And Marines don't leave room for weakness nowadays, but this is a different kind of strong. This is napalm, and you know, this is still the age of handwritten letters, toe tags, with your dog. Like, there is a lot that happens in this film, and it's hard for a lot of people to watch. Um, it does have humor. It is pretty dark humor. But that is kind of par for the course when it comes to Marines, period. Um, so this was kind of a eye-opening situation for a lot of people, and they were like, this can't be what it really is. And of course it was. This was Hollywoodified, but yeah, honestly, like, you get screamed at in basic a lot. You run a lot. You do not leave your rifle anywhere ever. It stays with you. That is your rifle. There are many like it, but that one is yours. Um so yes, coming in at number 10 is Full Metal Jacket. For me personally, this list is just me. All right. Number 9 uh is a recent movie, actually. Um it's 1917, and it came out, I think, like right at the end of 2019, I want to say. So this is a fairly recent film, and it is beautifully shot. It is very, I don't know who directed this and who was in charge of filmography, but they freaking nailed it. This is incredibly done. It's very personal. Like, you're very much in the conversation with these men. You're in the this is no man's land. Like, you're there with them. It's the way that this film was shot. There's no other word for it except incredible. Um and when you sort of follow these men on this journey, and what they are trying to accomplish, you're really pulled into the story, because all of these things that are happening uh are very, like, it's really raw, and it's, like I said, the way that this is shot, you are in the scene with the characters. Like, you are running with them, you are shooting with them, you're in no man's land with them. you're despairing with them, you're clinging to hope with them. I just it, I cannot recommend this movie enough. It was enough that it beat out Full Metal Jacket, which is like basically what Marines get baptized with. So I highly recommend 1917. Obviously, this is World War One, not World War II. A lot of people, for some reason, get the two confused, which is really tragic because this was known. Remember, 1917 was known. That shot right there is absolutely incredible. You guys need to see the. You need to actually watch the film and just that scene is phenomenal. But yeah, 1917, the First World War was also known as the Great War or the War to End All Wars. And obviously that didn't happen. It it it's tragic, quite frankly, because the amount of death that happened in World War One and um the amount of just utter tr- the fact that we were in World War One and then less than half a century later we were in World War Two. Europe was basically razed to the ground and rebuilt. It is it's truly phenomenal what Europe has gone through and how war scarred the land still is. And we're talking 100 years, 1917. So we're more than 100 years past World War One, and World War II happened right after that. In the some were fighting it in the 30s. We of course joined in 1941 after Pearl Harbor. Um, so we're talking less than a century since World War II, and you can still see and feel it in Europe, which you should because these wars were devastating on scales that are just unimaginable. And it's this film really makes you stop and think and appreciate what World War One veterans and service members and families went through. Absolutely. So, cannot recommend it highly enough. It is number 9 out of 10 for me. So, next up is an absolute personal favorite of mine. Um, Obviously, it's on the list. This is We Were Soldiers. And there Mel Gibson is just a phenomenal actor and director, and you're going to see a bit of him today. Just going to throw that out there. But We Were Soldiers gives you sort of a different perspective from what Full Metal Jacket did, which was on the enlisted side, and what 1917 did, which was in the trenches, mostly with enlisted men, and even when they were trying to go off on their mission, like do their thing. I'm trying not to ruin any of these films because I really want you guys to go watch them, and so we're just gonna do brief synopses. But this takes sort of what this film does better than most is it takes the fantasy of being a soldier, a sailor, a marine, and it shatters it. And you see that happen in the movie because you can have all the bravada in the world, you can have everything going for you that you possibly could. You have a family, you're moving up the ranks, whatever it may be. But you're not necessarily gonna be not everybody makes it back. Lots of people had a lot to live for, and not everybody made it home. And this one just this film absolutely guts me. What they go through and what they show you and how they it's both sides. Yeah, see, they're going through this and you see so many different aspects and what it really like you see the cost of war in this film very, very clearly. Like, I can't even think of words right now. This movie does what few other war films were able to do, and it's to balance this idea of of what is going on at the home front, what is going on with the front lines. Um, you know, there's so much that I wish was still part of movie making. Um, and this film is it doesn't disappoint. If you've not seen We Were Soldiers, I can't recommend it enough. A lot of vets, so something that I should let you guys know before we go on, a lot of vets do not watch a lot of war films, especially the more realistic, grounded ones, because they lived it. Depending on the era of vet that you're talking to, um, they don't need to see Vietnam again. They don't need to see Korea again. They don't need to see Desert Storm again. They lived it. So if you think that, oh, my cousin was a vet, he's gonna love this movie. That is not necessarily the case. I would caution you from jumping to that conclusion. There's a lot of vets that are going to be absolutely down with checking out um any type of, like, yeah, let's go. Some of my husband and I's favorite pastime is to point out errors in films like this. Now, I am not a combat vet. I did detachments and such. I was on the boat mostly. I blame my husband for that. But he was in Afghanistan. He is a combat vet. Um, and so he's got a better grasp on certain things that go down. And there is a difference with the way that war was fought back then and war is fought now. It was much grittier, far less technology. Like, you'll be able to see the difference from when you watch 1917 and how they fought and what they fought with and where they were. And then you compare it to something like Top Gun even. The level of technology leaps make it a completely different battle. Um and it, then that's not saying that war is less horrific nowadays. Um it's just that there are certain things that have drastically changed. Like, trench warfare is not really a thing anymore. So just keep that in mind. But yes, We Were Soldiers. Highly recommend it. Cannot recommend it enough. It is phenomenally written and acted. You will not be disappointed. I can't. Yeah, all of these films, I'm obviously highly recommending them, and it they're good. They're excellent films. I'll leave it at that. This next one, uh, wow. Oh no, the music's on. Hang on, I fixed. There we go. I don't need to get hit with copyright. I'm not even monetized, but God help me if I get a copyright strike before I'm even monetized. That'd be hilarious, actually. So, anybody who has ever seen this movie probably already knows what this movie is. It is, of course, A Few Good Men, and you have some of the most iconic lines in pop culture, let alone military and war film history. This movie is fantastic because you only get glimpses and you only get bits and pieces to really see, kind of like, you get flashbacks and you kind of see like what is happening and what's going on, and just how brutal it can be, and how much people snap in the military. Like, it happens in the military. You snap. People snap all the time, and I don't mean that they, like, suffer from like uncontrollable rage. It literally gets to the point where they can't handle it anymore. They don't want to be wherever they're at. They don't want to see whatever they're seeing. They can't process it anymore. Um and it usually gets taken out in very bad ways. That's not necessarily true, but if you have a good chain of command and you have it, that's why you need a battle buddy. Like they're called battle buddies for a reason. Like you got to talk to people and sort of, people you trust obviously. Like you don't just go jabberjock into whoever. Loose lips sink ships, and that's no different than you yourself. Okay, so yeah, so make sure that you can trust who you're talking to. Um so let me see. I saw it in the chat. Yes, exactly. So Raj, that's exactly right. Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket, he snapped. Like he couldn't take it anymore. He could not handle it, and it got him, right? So it does happen. It's always tragic when it does. But A Few Good Men takes the legal side of it. If any of you, there's I have some miniseries on here, but I didn't really do shows. I didn't do TV shows because I only have 20 on here, and there's seriously like hundreds of great films out there related to military and war. There's tons of stuff I wanted to put on here that I just couldn't fit because I only have so much time with you guys. I don't want to suck up your whole evening. But I think when it comes to these different things, this film took the legal side of things, and so it's JAG, is when you're whether you're in the Navy or the Marine Corps. So it's Navy. It's usually Navy lawyers. You'll see JAG officers are usually in the Navy, but there's Marines. And if you guys have ever watched the show JAG, that takes you on the legal aspect of things as well. But there in this film, it's Marines who are accused of murder. And it handles it absolutely brilliantly because you get clipses and images of kind of what happened and what's going on, and it pieces together over time, and that happens while the court proceeding is going on. So it is very Shane Nolan over here. Yes, it's a judge advocate general. That is what JAG stands for. The show is just called JAG though. If we're going to talk shows, MASH is also fantastic. NCIS is the original, like the first 10 seasons. It's kind of lost its way since then, but I digress. So, there's some pretty good military shows out there, but MASH is actually something my mom and I used to watch together. It's one of our absolute favorites, and she she used to have a CO that would call her Radar. So, for anybody that doesn't know, Radar is one of the characters in MASH. If you've got time, there's great stuff back. I'm gonna have to go over military shows at one point too because there's so many good ones. But MASH and JAG, I strongly recommend. Oh, The Unit. Yes, Liquid Blake. The Unit. See what I mean? So much. But yes, A Few Good Men, I think, has arguably top 10 most iconic pop culture lines still used today. This film came out 1992, 1993, something like that. Yeah. It's it's pretty freaking incredible, and there's I know people who haven't even seen the show, much like Private Pile with Full Metal Jacket. They've never seen Full Metal Jacket, but they know who Private Pile is. A Few Good Men. You Can't Handle the Truth, but they've never seen A Few Good Men. That's just how iconic these things are. Um, so I like how everybody in the chat is now talking about different military shows. I'm sorry, guys. I'll do another one with shows. I know there's so many good ones. Okay. So next up is gonna be another, just all these films are truly epic, but this is Flags of Our Fathers, and it is about World War II, Iwo Jima, raising of the flag. The picture, uh, see, yeah, so a photograph was taken. I'm getting to the trailer here. But this picture is and there is not an American over the age of 7 who does not know this picture. I am fairly confident in saying that. I might give you 10, maybe 10. But it's that this picture was just, I mean, it changed the American landscape of what we perceived to be like what hope was, like this is where you get the raising of the flag and you get the sailor kissing his girl. World War II did something that World War One couldn't, because after World War One everybody was crushed and dust, and there was just, we had the Great Depression. So you had World War One. You had the Roaring Twenties, which was actually not a great time for a lot of people. A lot of people were already really suffering, especially in parts of Europe. Then you have the Great Depression, right? And now you're back in another world war. And America obviously tried to stay out of it, but they couldn't. They did, obviously Pearl Harbor happened. And so you have to understand, after World War One, nobody wanted to talk about war. Nobody wanted to be in a war. Nobody wanted to do anything with it. Nobody wanted to join the service. That it was horror. It was awful. Like World War One destroyed generations of people. And that's no exaggeration. There's like whole families were wiped out. I know a lot of people know about Saving Private Ryan and why that was so important. That is a real thing. Like they do not want to end your generational line. Like the military doesn't want to be what kills off the last of your line. Especially back then, because there had been so much death in World War One. So many generations were absolutely destroyed. Mothers didn't want to send their sons, wives didn't want to send their husbands, but after Pearl Harbor, that all changed. There was a shift. And then when you came back from World War II, and while World War II was going on, these images of hope and of strength and of Americans overcoming were that is what got pushed. Can you imagine having gone through 3 decades of horror and war and devastation and poverty, and then you see these images of the flag being raised, of our boys, VJ Day, Victory in Japan Day, and then you have V-Day, Victory Day. Like these were the images, these were the stories, and not to overshadow World War One, because there was so many stories of bravery and honor in World War One as well. But World War II, it still speaks to so many generations, and we're getting so far removed from it. And I think that's honestly part of the issue of what we're seeing right now, is because people they don't respect what others went through for them. Eric K, you got what? What did you get? Did I miss something? Or was I repeating myself and that was your polite way of telling me to stop? Because I do that too. So, yes. So, Flags of Our Fathers. If you've not seen it, definitely check it out for sure. All right. So, next up um, is perhaps the greatest military recruiting tool of all time, Top Gun. And God, I love this movie. Mostly because my MOS, which is my military occupational specialty, is like front and center in this film. But it wasn't my fault. The CADs didn't go. Okay, so for anybody that's not seen this, you're missing out. It's fun. It's energetic. It shows you what training is like for pilots, and pilots are officers. But again, this has some of the most iconic lines, iconic characters, fantastic scenes. God, I've got 3 pairs of aviators and I don't care what anybody says. I love them. She's gorgeous. It's fun. They ride a motorcycle. They fly by the tower, like requesting a flyby. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Yes, talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose. Okay, so these are 2-seaters. And so even though the guy in the back, if he had to absolutely, he can of course fly the plane, but he's called the Wizzo. So that's why you've got Maverick up front, and he's like, talk to me, Goose, where they at? Because Maverick is flying, he's paying attention to, like, the ground and the sky, mountain ranges, stuff like that. And Goose is paying attention to the weapons and where the enemy is, and like how much fuel, like all of these different things that that they're going to need to survive this encounter with their enemy, and then not just that, but get back home and do a flyby at the tower. But yes, I have a need for speed. Yeah, see, this is just like, if every military branch just showed this as a recruiting video, they would have so many people. I love this movie. I think I first saw this movie when I was 5. And like the music just yeah, that's all you get from me. Like, it's just perfectly scored and it's so uplifting, and even when you hit the dramatic part and you feel Maverick's angst and his sorrow and everything sort of collapsing in on him, you are still just, God, this movie just is so good about lifting you up and taking you to the next level, and you go so fast. You're pulling G's. I love it. And yes, hello, Lord Gravemaster. Yes, negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. What are you doing in my chat? Knock it off. I'm just kidding. Hello. Yes, you've lost that love and feeling. I would sing that line, but I'm pretty sure that that's not part of the public domain. And again, I don't want to get hit before I'm even monetized. That would just suck. And it's just, Katina Martin. A few days ago, I gave a comment on another YouTube page telling the soldier thank you for their service, and then I also thank the family members of soldiers for their support. And this asshat told, I didn't get to this asshat told you what? Oh, to stop chatting shit. Like, I was like, what? They said I was supporting killers, and boy, I went off. Whoa! No, you won't get any of that here. No, I absolutely not. That's ridiculous. I hate that stereotype. It needs to die. Okay, so yes, Top Gun, the greatest recruiting video for all military branches of all time. But Katina, thank you for going on there and thanking soldiers, vets, and their families. I really appreciate it. Don't let those pricks get to you. All right, they've got bigger problems in their life, and they're gonna need help that you can't give them. I'm glad you set them straight. All right. So next up, So, Flags of Our Fathers was directed by Clint Eastwood. This next one, from MGM. Remember when that means great movies? Not anymore. Kelly's Heroes. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. I am actually shocked at how many people don't even know this movie exists. It it's it's 19 I want to say it came out 1970, 1971, maybe 69, but it was definitely in that era. It's Don Rickles. That's how you know it was back in the day because he looks young. And look at Clint Eastwood. He looks incredibly young. Um, but yeah, this movie is it's it's World War II. They're soldiers, not Marines. We'll forgive them. Um, but they go AWOL, which is absent without leave. And anybody who doesn't know, that's a big no-no. You can go to the brig for that, which is military prison. And then once you get done with military prison, you can go serve in civilian prison. That happens a lot too. Donald Sutherland, look at how young he looks. Holy crap. Look at all these guys. Pure legends all on the screen together. I don't know how more people don't know about this, but these soldiers go AWOL and they go behind enemy lines to rob a bank. Yes. Yes. Soul Assassin. Oh god, where did it go? There it is. That is fantastic. I love that your dad was watching it. This movie, whew, it's just it's a trip. I think it's funny, but that's also because I get some of the humor. Some of the jokes did have to be explained to me by my husband because I thought they meant one thing and he was like, "No, this is what they mean." I don't think we've watched this. I don't think we've watched Kelly's Heroes together actually since we were both active duty, which was a while ago. But yes, it's got just the fact that Clint Eastwood, Don Rickles, and Donald Sutherland are all in the same movie should be enough incentive for you to give this one a watch. Mansplaining. Well, it's not my fault that I have a bigger pair than most. I don't know. Maybe the dude should just, act like men. There's a thought. But yes, Kelly's Heroes is I wouldn't say action packed, but when there is action, it's like it hits and it hits hard and it's really good. The dialogue is hilarious, and witty and smart. All things that I wish were still in movies today. Like you're gonna hear that theme a lot too. And yeah, I miss movies like this. And it was that's why I still watch them because with the exception of a few, there's one more coming up that's a little bit newer. I think it came out in 2017. But most of these films are not going to be any newer than 2010, I don't think. Just they don't make movies like they used to, and they sure as heck do not have the same kind of reverence for storytelling and accuracy and dramatization. And when I say dramatization, I don't mean this high school drama bullshit, excuse my language. I mean where you actually feel that bond between the actors like they're really brothers. Like there is that eternal fraternity is just burned there, and it's a mark on all of their hearts. So that is what I am talking about when I say something like that. So they just don't make movies like this anymore. They don't. All right. Next up, so we've already had one. So you've seen 2 Clint Eastwoods. You've seen a Mel Gibson. Now you're gonna see another one. So this one came out, I think it just showed up there in 2000. and it is Mel Gibson's The Patriot. Um, yeah, this movie rocked me to my core. This is a movie that I recommend everybody seeing. Obviously, it's about the Revolutionary War. This man, he doesn't want to go to war. He's seen the cost of war. He's lived it. He knows what happens. He knows that the innocent people are the ones who who die. He knows that they are he knows that they're the ones who suffer from, whether it be death, destruction, it could be occupation. So you see all of this happen. His son was just trying to do the right thing. And of course, Mel Gibson's character knows the laws of war, and the British are over here just flagrantly ignoring them. And so it causes this man who swore he would never do this to stand up again. And guys, I'm telling you, this movie gets real. He has to hand a rifle to, I think his son is like 10, and he hands a pistol to his 9-year-old daughter, and he tells them, go out in the tall grass in the field, hide, don't come out until I come back for you, and if I don't, what do you do? And then they tell him what they have to do. So, yeah, Mel Gibson is, I don't think this man has made a movie that, whether he acted or directed in it, I don't think he's made a movie that I don't like, quite frankly. And he didn't want to fight this war. He wanted to stay out of it. He wanted peace. He wanted to let his children grow up without seeing the horrors that war brought. And it came crashing to his front door. It's just, and this has got some of the most inspirational scenes that you will see anywhere. Especially, I will say this one part. I don't know if it's in the trailer or not. Yeah, right here. Mel Gibson picks up the flag. Yeah, right there. And he runs with it. And he tells everybody, like, all of these men are retreating. And he's like, he grabs the flag. He picks up the standard. He picks up the American flag, the very first one. And he runs towards the British. And he turns the American forces, the revolutionaries, he turns them around to continue fighting the British. And it is still to this day, one of the greatest, most uplifting scenes I have ever seen in any film. And that is the honest to God's truth. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It was just phenomenal. Absolutely stunning. Yes, hold the line. Like this film, if this film doesn't give you goosebumps and just make eagles and flags and fireworks go off in your chest and your heart to beat so hard you swear it was a timpani drum in a 4th of July parade, I don't know what will. Because this is just beyond words fantastic. So that should tell you what we have coming up is going to be incredible as well. So we've got, next up, one of my favorites. This is, so we've had the war films, like where we're in the trenches. So we've had the trench warfare. We've had the recruiting video. We've got, let me see. What have we, we've got World War I, World War II. We've covered that. We've covered Vietnam. We've done boot camp. We've done training, with Top Gun, the recruiting video. We've seen When We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson, where they were sort of romanticizing and envisioning themselves as these heroes, and then they see the horrors of war and it gets shattered. Then we saw The Legal System with A Few Good Men. So that there's a lot of ways to approach military and war films. This film, Robert Redford is stars in it, and this is called The Last Castle. This is this tells you what it's like to be in the brig. They serve their time at the castle, the brig. Uh he um he's a very well-known, renowned, like adored by most military officer, right? He goes to the yard and they're like, there's no rank in here. You're nothing here. That's what the that is what the man who is outside of regulations. I don't care what branch you're in. That man is out of regs. Now I haven't seen Navy chiefs that big. I love you, Navy, but seriously, come on, guys. It's like a rite of passage when you become a chief. I think you just get all the coffee. But yeah, obviously, so he's the warden. He's out of regs. He just plays, but he plays slime ball perfectly. Oh, I hate him. You're supposed to hate him, and he does it well. But essentially what's happening is he is abusing his command. There's been inmate torture, inmate deaths, all kinds of stuff. Sergeant Major! And so they're calling him CO. And he's like, there's no rank, there's no rank in here, there's nothing like that in here. He's like, I'm just a prisoner serving my time just like the rest of you. And then he starts to see what's going on, and he sees the men really respect and admire him, and it's not that he hasn't done anything for it, it's that he doesn't want to have that on him because of what he's been charged with and what he is there to do. So he sees this as basically the next mission that he was given by the army. And so yeah, this is an incredibly dramatic movie. It takes place, I think 98% of the movie takes place in the castle. And what they go through there and what it's like. And what sort of pushes them over the brink. And these guys, I mean, they're military trained. They are military trained, so they're resourceful. They know how to do tactical maneuvers. They know how to follow commands. They know all of these things. And how to sort of fight back. But the reason that Robert Redford's character is he was court-martialed. I won't tell you what he was charged with. I will tell you, as you watch the movie, you realize that even military courts may lean one way or another. I'll say that. But this is number 2. So we've gone 10 through 2 of like my absolute favorite military and war films. But The Last Castle with Robert Redford. I don't think that was Tony Soprano. Was it Tony Soprano? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. My husband would know. Lord Gravemaster, are you still in the chat? Was that Tony Soprano? Kind of looks like him, eh? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's him. Could be, but unlikely. I've been wrong before. It happens. But yes, so The Last Castle. Highly recommend. So now we were into our we're into our 10 honorable mentions. So this first one is an HBO miniseries, and it is called Band of Brothers. I'm not going to spend as much time on the honorable mentions, but Band of Brothers is a fantastic miniseries. It's done really well. And it's a HBO. And here you go, Tom Hanks, who we've seen in here before. And you're going to see him coming up here in a little bit. He directed this film. There you go. It's a mini series. There's a lot of good in this show. And it hits hard. It does, because it's a mini series, it can get far more into events and people than a 90 or even a 120-minute movie is capable of doing. So, it's a very good miniseries. I strongly recommend it. It is on HBO. I I I don't like shilling for them, but I mean, if it's good, it's good. This next one is also a miniseries. It's called The Pacific, and it is also on HBO. So HBO had a streak going for a while in like 2000s, and then I don't know what happened. Something fell off the wagon. They did, I guess. But um, yeah, the Pacific is about the Pacific theater of World War II. Just like Iwo Jima. There you go. Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg. I get, so this is the Pacific. The other one was Band of Brothers. It's, again, because it's a mini series, you get to see and feel a lot more. They can get into personal events and overarching events in a lot more detail than a 90-minute movie can do for you, or even a 2-hour movie can do for you. So HBO's got these two miniseries that I strongly recommend. Next up on honorable mentions, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Oh god, I left the music on. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Apocalypse Now. This is I think, a lot of people have done versions of that line. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. But this is the OG. This is Vietnam. This movie is not for the faint of heart, for sure. A lot of these movies aren't, but they this is it's got a great cast. It's well written. You feel all of it. And I mean, it showed a completely different side of Vietnam. It really did. And it made you appreciate what these guys really went through and what they saw, and the people of Vietnam as well. And sadly, because we're being led by idiots, history's about to repeat itself. So buckle up, Buttercup, because stuff's about to get interesting. Yeah, I said it. So that is Apocalypse Now. Like I said, we're not going to spend as much time on the honorable mentions, but they are here for a reason. Next up, Saving Private Ryan, one that I know a lot of you probably are aware of. This is one of the better known films, and like we were talking about earlier, they had a mission to literally go rescue a private. The reason that is such a big deal, it is literally the lowest rank in the Marine Corps, or in any branch, but it is the lowest rank you can have. And they sent an entire platoon of men to rescue this one private because his brothers had died. His father was dead. All his brothers had died. His mother was getting letters of her sons dying. And so you have this one Private Ryan left. So it was just, yeah, not just men, Rangers. Yeah, like this is an incredible film. Tom Hanks, I don't know what happened to him. He did not take the left turn at Albuquerque. He went off somewhere, some way, and went crazy. But he has got some phenomenal films in his repertoire. Forrest Gump is not on here because it's not just a war film or a military film, but that's also, like, he did great there. He was also he was a Vietnam vet in that one. Medal of Honor recipient too. But this, oh yeah, there's Normandy. That's so storming the beaches of Normandy. Again, I don't know who casts these films, but wow, just they nailed every single one of them. And this film does a really good depiction of what men are willing to go through to follow orders, and not just follow orders, because at any point in time they could have said, like, they couldn't breach enemy lines, or they could have turned around. And in the movie they say, like, he's like, any of you who don't want to go, um any of you who do not want to continue, it won't be held against you. And they all stay. Like, that should tell you something. Yes, the scene where they're going through the dog tags. It's brutal. It hits harder. Um just wow. Um this film is phenomenal. That's why it's on the list. That's why it is an honorable mention. All right, this next one is actually a newer one. And anyone that has not heard or seen of it, again, this is another one a lot of people, kind of like 1917 and Kelly's Heroes. Not very many people have heard of this one. This is called Hacksaw Ridge. This came out in 2016, and this man doesn't want to pick up a gun. It goes against his faith. And this is actually, so the thing with this film is he still fights. He still goes to war. He does. You're like, oh, he's gonna be a conscientious objector. He's not gonna go. And he served as a medic. So he refused to carry a weapon or a firearm of any kind. Didn't train, like, he did all the other training, but he did not carry a weapon. And yeah. So he goes through some stuff. Yeah. Yeah. He saved 70 something men, and there's a scene in here. Whew. He's like, please God, let me get one more. And he's running out. He has no weapons. He's got no earthly weapons. I'm going to say that, because this man was obviously protected by heaven's angels. So nothing like what these other men that he's going with have. He serves as a medic, and he, like Shane Nolan had just said, it was around 70 something men, and he kept going back. He kept going back, and he kept bringing them home. And it was just, this movie, guys, remember I said there were very few exceptions? This in 1917 are those exceptions. I can't recommend it, whether you are a believer or not, whether you have faith or not. This is a true story. This is a true story. What this man did is just absolutely insane. And the fact that he did it in such a way that everybody doubted him, and he was still able to do it. And I should say it was directed by Mel Gibson. I told you, I think there's a film that this man has starred in or directed or both that I don't like. Yes, this is Desmond. Yes, Eric Hay. This is a story of Desmond Doss. I'm trying to remember, because it's based on a book. I think it's actually called The Conscientious Objector. But yeah, he was an I think he was an Adventist. I have to look it up. But I think the book is called The Conscientious Objector. I think it was an autobiography. I think it's a book. Anyway, So, yeah, this movie is phenomenal. Yes, Shane Nolan, Gallipoli, that didn't make the guys. I'm telling you, there's only 20 films on here. There's so many. So many. Okay, have fun with your moms. You're good. Continue. I'll be here. I'll be here for a little while. Yeah, no, Gallipoli is fantastic. There, guys, Hunt for Red October isn't on this list, and I was shocked when I was like, oh, I didn't put that on here, but I'm at 20. Like, I swore I would not go over 20. Meanwhile, I've got Lord Gravemaster over my shoulder, like, oh, you should add this one. What about this one? Hey, what about that one? And I'm just like, no, stop. We're at 20. We can't do anymore. So yeah, this was a hard list to compile. I will say that. Oh, and hold up. Bastard has a prediction. You think it's going to be Black Hawk Down, eh? I guess you're going to find out, Bastard. I guess you find out. Whoo! Behind Enemy Lines. Now, this movie, first of all, Owen Wilson, what are you doing? Like, why can't you be like, I mean, holy crap, this is a side of Owen Wilson that I did not know. This is a depth of level of acting that I did not know Owen Wilson possessed. I was unaware that he could be like this. And he's still kind of flagrant and he's a smart aleck. But yeah, I didn't know he would be able to pull this off. So the story of this is he's flying over enemy airspace. They're doing he's taking pictures. He's pretty sure he knows what he sees. He sees mass graves. And Soul Assassin, no. See how many films match. Well, he's watching, so he knows. He helped me with this one. Because honest to God, guys, I had like 43 movies on here. Oh, The Longest Day, Bastard, that one's not on here, but that is also a phenomenal film. Yes. No, it's not number one, but it's not on this list. This movie is basically Owen Wilson gets trapped in Bosnia, and all these people are trying to kill him. And there's somebody from his own side who is not his friend. I'll put it that way. Because some very bad people take advantage of very bad situations. War is unfortunately a great cover for some pretty horrific stuff. And you know, that happens in this movie. That in the trailer here you saw he was flying over something that looked like a grave. It wasn't just a grave, it was a mass grave. And they weren't killed by enemy fire. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So Behind Enemy Lines, yeah, coming soon. No, this came out in 2000, I think. So you can go watch it. It's like 21 years old, I think. I don't remember the exact year it came out, but I know it's a 2000 movie. Yeah. I'm shocked how many people don't actually. Yeah, Shane, you remember that war very well? Lots of people don't. They don't even know what happened, which is just devastating and all the more shame on our public education system. 1000%. Absolutely. Like it's a travesty that more people are not aware of it. So Behind Enemy Lines is absolutely fantastic film. All right, this next one we have got Nicolas Cage, who has also done some really great stuff. And Wind Talkers is one of those. It lots of military and war films are about World War II for good reason. John Woo. Oh, John Woo. Before they got to you, John Woo. But Wind Talkers is basically it was the Unbreakable Code, essentially. It's World War II, and these Navajo um code talkers, they they teach they teach them how to like speak to each other this way, and they could never break it. It was never broken. Um Battle of the Bulge, Midway. Are you talking about like the movie Midway? Because that's also great. That's not on this list. Um yeah. This is um Wind Talkers is, oh man, Christian Slater. I haven't seen you in a long time. But essentially, the enemy was never able to break this code. Um, you only saw Midway recently. Hey guys, Midway's another great one. Like keep dropping suggestions in the chat. Like I said, there's only 40 movies on this list. Or 20. Yeah, no. 10, 10. 10 and 10 is 20. I can math. See? Math for Marines. Hey, I didn't have my red crayon today. You leave me alone. But there's only 20 movies on this list. This is not an all-encompassing list. This is simply my suggestion. Like, if you're like, what can we watch tonight? Go watch Wind Talkers. It's fantastic. 1976 Midway. Ah, it's also good. The modern one's good too. The original Midway, not the newer one. Okay. Yeah, you know, it's all I like them both. So you've got those to choose from. Sorry, let me unboomer this. Okay. Okay, hang on. Okay. This next one, it's good for a lot of reasons. But this is a diet. So this is Men of Honor. I love this movie because first of all, I think this was the first film I ever saw Cuba Gooding Jr. in. And of course Robert De Niro, not of late, I would say, but his incredible stuff. So Cuba Gooding Jr. Plays I think he's a Master Chief. Help me. Is he a Master Chief? Has anybody ever seen Has anybody ever seen Men of Honor? I guess I should ask the chat first. I just watched this like last week. Yeah, I'm fairly certain he's a Master Chief. Anyway, it's Carl Brashear. He is the first African American master diver in the Navy. And he is damn good, right? And there is a lot of conviction and emotionally charged scenes in this film. And oh man, there's times, guys, I'm just saying, everything that wokeists and SJWs claim has never been in a movie, this movie, not only is it in this movie, it does it correctly. It does it right. It nails everything. And from the tensions to the dialogue, the perseverance, what this man had to face and what he had to go through, it hits different. Men of Honor is a phenomenal film, and it shows you um what it kind of takes to overcome when everybody doubts you. And you're supposed to look to your left and your right, and you're supposed to trust these men with your life, and they're supposed to trust you with theirs. And you can't get over some pretty basic stuff that nobody can control. And it's very I it's a great watch. You won't be disappointed, I promise. You won't be disappointed with any of these films, but Men of Honor, if anybody ever wants to if any of these SJWs ever come at you and want to tell you that it hasn't been done or this is the first or anything like that, uh just point them to Men of Honor, quite frankly, and tell them to shut their freaking holes. Um I have a lot of respect for that Master Chief. That's based on that. Yeah, it's a good show. All right. Next up, Germany, 1944. We're in another World War II film. Clint Eastwood. So this is, you're like, oh, the war should be over. Nope. So this is Heart's War. And this is basically, they're POWs. God, just, I don't understand how another human can look through a barbed wire fence and think that they're still human. You know what I mean? And so what happens is there's certain rules when it comes to war. There's ways you're supposed to treat officers, and there's laws. Like, war has laws. That's why a lot of people compare it to chess. I disagree with that assessment. I can go into that in another time. But Heart's War, this is, you're kind of seeing it from the German perspective, but it's more so like what it was like for the Germans who were captured by the Nazis and imprisoned by the Nazis and tortured by the Nazis. But you're seeing it through POWs, which is, of course, prisoners of war. And so it gives you a very unique and different perspective. It's really great. It's some parts are hard to watch, but it's entirely your call. But again, I can't recommend this enough. I do love me some Bruce Willis. He does great in almost everything he's ever been into. So, Heart's War is no exception. He was also in Tears of the Sun. That movie is not on here. I didn't think I put it on here. I might have left it on. But yeah, this whole film, it really it nails a lot of stuff, that a perspective that not a lot of people have seen. Next up, this was one my husband absolutely insisted be on here, and before Paramount nails me. Yeah, okay. This is Enemy at the Gate. And it's not American. It's a Russian sniper and a German. It's literally Russia and Germany. It's the Battle of Stalingrad, and like, probably, I won't say the world's greatest sniper, because that's Heathcote, but dang close, dang close. But yeah, it's two snipers, and they're essentially chasing each other down, and the book is better. It always is. Jiminy Finn Cricket. Oh God, I can't believe that's your name. The book's always better. But bloodiest battle in history. I believe you are correct. As far as I know, yes, the Battle of Stalingrad is the bloodiest battle ever. And yeah, this trailer does a fantastic job of sort of summing up what's happening. But Yes, it's American and British actors, so you've got like Russians and Germans with American and British accents, but you can let that go because this movie is just freaking insane. Um and it gets you. And Russians are something else now. Who are we kidding, Soul Assassin? Like there's a reason there's a stereotypes surrounding Russians that there are. Just saying. But yeah, this film it brings the war a into like a really narrow perspective because it's two snipers facing off against each other. And the ending the ending one of the best endings to any movie I've ever seen. So, um yes, Enemy at the Gates definitely gets an honorable mention in here. 100%. Our last honorable mention of the evening is Rules of Engagement. I swear to God, Paramount's gonna nail me at one point. Um, and I was gonna say Samuel L. Jackson. He's in every now. Tommy Lee Jones. Rules of Engagement. This movie, it it sort of nails it all. You get so much insight, I guess. Like it's not 100% accurate, of course. Um but these people are essentially trying to break down there's something that cannot be done. You can't take you cannot take a a battlefield. You can't take what happens in a battle and you can't break it down in a courtroom. You can't break it down even in a ready room or in a debrief or anything like that. You can't break down everything because everything's now hindsight. You're like, "Oh, well, why didn't you do this?" Or you had a split second to decide. Why didn't you why didn't you do it this way instead of that way? You know, we've slowed the tape down. You clearly had enough time to make a different decision. No, you didn't. Like these decisions, that's the thing. Things happen. Uh should deadly force have been used? I don't know. Should deadly force have been used? I wasn't there. I don't know the situation. You can break it down left, right, and center, and you can give your best estimate and what you really truly believe happened and what you think should be, I don't know, the correct way to handle things. um but I think outside of 13 hours, which is not on this list, it should I'm going to shout that out, that does too. I think this was probably, as far as embassies are concerned, showing you what happens and just decisions have to be made under extreme conditions that you can't it doesn't matter how many experts you get in place. It doesn't matter how many veterans you get in place or how many war heroes you get in place. You're never going to be able to recreate those exact same conditions. And that gets held against people a lot. Um that's not anything that they can necessarily control, but it is something that gets held against them. And that's why rules of engagement exist, because they're like, oh, well, when this happens, you're supposed to do this, or when that happens, you're supposed to do that. And that is all well and good on paper. But that's when you're in it, when you're in the suck, when you're in the shit, I'll say this, and I don't know if Shane's gonna agree with me or not. I don't know if other vets are gonna agree with me or not. The rules of engagement as far as the Afghan and Iraqi wars are probably the reason that so many sailors, soldiers, Marines, airmen died because they were insane. They were badly written. That's all I can say. Samuel Jackson looks like he never ages. Yeah. He and Keanu Reeves have obviously found the fountain of youth. I will say that. Okay, so that was our final honorable mention in the list. So we've gone through 10 through 2 of my 10 picks. Now, can those change? Absolutely. Is there going to be some kind of a mix? Perhaps maybe one day, where stuff will shuffle around, and I'll be like, oh, instead of flags of our fathers, letters of Iwo Jima or something of that nature. You know what I mean? It really does depend. I don't think Last Castle is losing its number 2 spot ever. And I do not see this one losing its number 1 spot ever as well. So I think somebody said it in the chat. This is my top tier, most favorite, absolute love this film. And it is called Heartbreak Ridge. And it's got Clint Eastwood in it. And by God, this man just wanted to be left alone. He did not want to go back. But they were like, hey, we need you. Come train these guys. Turn them into killers. He's like, no. And they're like, yeah. Or you're going to waste away, right? And he's like, I just want to do my time. I just want to get out. Nope. So this is, this is very much, it was kind of a different time back then. Like, I mean, obviously it was a different time, but this one really, the way that they live is just ridiculous to me. But hey, look at his chest candy. That's what I mean when I say chest candy. All of that stuff on his chest. By the way, the cross rifles with the wreaths, that big one means he's a rifle expert. So you can be a marksman, you can be excuse me. So it's called a pizza box. And yes, I said wind talkers. I lost my train of thought now. Hello, Lord Gravemaster. Welcome back. I'm glad you could rejoin us. Great. I've completely... Yep, lost my train of thought. Anyway, so he shows up, and my favorite scene is actually... Raj, what is your assessment, Gunny? Yep. I love that line. But there is a scene in this movie and I absolutely love because it is indicative of not quite hurry up and wait, but maybe don't disrespect the how's that saying go? Be wary of old men in a profession where men die young. And Gunny's old. Gunny's up there. And Heartbreak Ridge. So they're like, oh, we went to the school of Heartbreak Ridge. Like, there's so many great scenes, but the scene I'm talking about is he tells them to go on a run. And so they're all going on a run. And the guys that he's training, the Marines he's training, are like, come on, let's burn this fool. Let's leave him in the dust, right? Because Gunny is keeping a solid pace. He's not going up or down or sprinting or anything like that. He's gonna run. He's gonna do this run, and he's gonna keep that pace. Well, all these young guys who think they're gonna show him up, they sprint to the point that they normally run to, and they're all huffing and they're out of breath and they're sweaty and they're tired. Of course, they're tired. Like they just sprinted. I think it's like 2.5 miles or something like that, and they think they're gonna stop, and so they're all super winded. And they look up, and here comes Gunny, just trucking along. And he continues to run by them. And they're just like, what the that's your first indication. Well, not your first indication, but that's really their first indication. This man is not human. I fully maintain that I fully maintain that he is a robot from the future. Absolutely. Not really. But he instills in these men something that is missing. And that is a sense of self-respect, of being committed to something greater than yourself, of understanding what it means to be a Marine and to make those sacrifices. Um, and it's he's it's called dropping your pack when you're in. It refers to service members who aren't carrying their load anymore, whether they're med sepping or whether they're getting honorably discharged because they've finished their enlistment and they don't want to re-up is what it's called, which basically means they sign up for another 4, 5, 6, however long their contract is. Some contracts are 3 years and some contracts go all the way to 6 years. It depends on your MOS, again, military occupational specialty. But in this film, he is close to retirement and he wants to drop his pack. He wants to be like, please, like he just wants to coast. He wants his golden years, right? His twilight tour is what it's called. Well, Gunny Highway, that's Clint Eastwood's character in the film. And he's being mandatory retirement. There's certain rules if you reach a certain age with a certain rank or certain time in service. And so he's like, just let me, he loves the Corps. He just wants to, honestly, I think he just wants to die a Marine, quite frankly, but he doesn't want to retire. He's made some mistakes. He tries to reach out to like his old flame. He's trying to not admit that age and time is getting to him. So this is 2nd Recon Battalion, 2nd MARDIV, which is 2nd Reconnaissance Battalion, 2nd Marine Division, is where he is at, is where he gets transferred back to. And he's very opinionated, and he likes his own way. And you find out his way is usually the best way. And he really doesn't take any crap from anybody. I mean, like 0 people. It doesn't matter if they've got shiny stuff on their collar or if they've got rockers on their collar or if they've got chevrons on their collar. He doesn't care. He's not taking any nonsense from anybody, right? And there's a point where they threaten him with court-martial. But the colonel, who's the CO, served with Highway in the Vietnam War. And he listens to the reports and he's like, yeah, no, Highway was absolutely correct. And so it's just so good. And so they're supposed to go through these different exercises and these different trainings and these certain situations. And they get back to the US and they are a unit. They're proud of themselves. They've been given something more tangible than just the next paycheck. And there's another character in there. His name's Corporal Jones, and he's the one who, is Highway's protege, I guess. But Highway takes Jones not really under his wing because highway does not have a wing. It's literally there is, because his name is Highway, there is no other way. It's not my way or the highway. It's just highway. But I absolutely freaking love this movie, and I could watch it 1,000 times and never get bored. Yes, remember the sound an AK-47 makes. Whew! I'm telling you guys, Heartbreak Ridge will always be my number one. There are many great films out there, but it is always going to be Heartbreak Ridge. Absolutely. What is this bastard? Based on Lady Gravemaster's obsession with Hollywood hunks. She'll vote Tigerland number 1, Colin Farrell. What? Well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't like weak men. I can't think of women who do like weak men. I don't think I'm a weak woman. So yeah, this also speaks to an era of masculinity that we desperately need to come back, because I am really sick of the soy boys running stuff. I will tell you that right now. If you wanted to turn men into women, to think that this should be proof positive. The state that we are in now should be proof positive that when you try to turn men into women and have women rule the world, it's not good. You need strong men and you need strong women, and you have to be willing to shoulder responsibility and expectation and the things that come along with that. So it's these films particularly, but Heartbreak Ridge especially, it really shows that we are two different creatures and that we need both the masculine male and the feminine woman, because feminine men are a danger to themselves and others, and not in a good, like, I'm not talking about the enemy. I'm talking to us, to friendlies, to weak men will destroy nations, and masculine women. Here's the thing. I was more of a tomboy growing up. Hell, I was a Marine. I'm not saying you can't be tough, but there is a difference between being tough and being masculine. We don't strut around like cocks, because we don't have one. That's not us. And when women let our standards drop, that's when a lot of stuff drops. Because I'm not saying men won't hold themselves to high standards, but if there's no one expecting anything of them, then what's the point? I mean, they have no one to do it for. And while they'll do it for themselves, yes, men, that's not how you're made. You're literally created to be protectors. And if you have nothing to protect, if you have no women who are holding you to high standards, and instead you have society and women telling you to be fat, lazy, self-centered, that you're not real men, to not eat meat, to not exercise, to not do any of those things. Like, okay, you're not expecting anything of me. Congratulations, you're going to get nothing from me. It's absolutely devastating. And that's part of the reason I love these movies. And God, I just want masculine men to start running things again. I really, really do. And yes, Scott, Dick's Division is here. Hey. Yeah, the Marine Corps birthday was yesterday. Ooh, raw Semper Fi. I got my crayon birthday cake. It's all good. 246. I think I look pretty good for 246 years old. Yeah, no. Women Marines are vindictive, manipulative, and conniving, and I love them for it. Not all of us, actually. I I mean, at least not all the time. uh, that's the thing. Women Marines, look, I'm not saying we're not strong, but I'll tell you right now, it didn't matter if I think at one point I could do like 18 pull-ups and I was like, "Yes." And I looked over and there was a guy who I think he was on like 47. And I was like, "Well, I don't know that I'm ever going to do better than 18, but by God, I'm going to try." Cuz you get that like you want to push each other to excellence, but guys, there's just stuff that men can do that is just incredible. It's otherworldly. And they're built to do that. Like I don't remember the exact story. I'll see if I can find it really quick. But um there was a little brother um who saved his sister's life from a dog attack. Excuse me, a dog attack. And he was 6. Yeah, here we go. Do, 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 do. So I don't know who today's mama is. I'm just using their 6-year-old boy saves little sister from charging dog. July 9th, 6-year-old Bridger jumped in front of a charging dog to save his sister's life. If someone had to die, I thought it should be me. Like, I've got a son who's a protective older brother to his 2 younger sisters, and this story got me in the heart. So this is the author of the story talking. But Bridger, look at this boy did not walk away unscathed. This is what people don't realize. Heroes don't just they don't walk into the fire and come out untouched. They don't. Like, look at what this little boy, he was willing to die to protect his sister. We need more Bridgers in this world, desperately. This is he is going to grow up to be a real incredible man. Look at what he was willing to do. He was willing to give up everything. He got 90 stitches. He got 90 stitches in his face. So he gets bit several times on the face and the head, as you can see. And then he grabbed his sister's hand and ran with her to keep her safe. So this boy has got half his face bitten off by this dog. And he still has the frame of mind to get his sister out of danger. This is what men are hardwired to do. You're telling me that this 6-year-old did this because society told him to, because this is toxic masculinity, because this is obviously, he's not being raised right because he's obviously being toxically masculine and he just wanted the bragging rights. Are you kidding? Like, the amount of BS I saw surrounding this story when they're like, I forget exactly who said it, but they were like, that little boy shouldn't have thought that he had to give up his life for his sister. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. This is how men are. This is proof. If this isn't proof that men are hardwired to protect women, particularly women that they care about and love, I don't know what is. Bridger is a hero. He is incredible. I hope this young man becomes a Marine because holy crap, he's going to have everybody's story beat. 1000%. I just, ooh, he is like, look at how sweet he is. Like, he clearly loves his little sister. Obviously, he jumped in front of a charging dog for her. And so he's starting to heal. But, look at this. And this little girl has been shown what a real man is. That's something else you don't have to worry about. I say this all the time. I worry about the world today because I am raising children of my own. And it's not that I'm not going to raise them right. It's that someone out there is raising my daughter's future husbands and my son's future wives. That's what I'm terrified of because I have seen what the wrong person can do for you and to you. So that is something to think about right now. If you have kids, especially if they're young, somebody is out there raising their future husband or wife. Do you really want the modern world morals in somebody who is going to have the heart, soul, body, and mind of your child? That is why I care. When people are like, well, why do you care about stuff that's happening in Virginia or Michigan or Minnesota? Like, because it's going to this stuff doesn't stop. It's a virus. You have to kill it. You have to stop it. And it will eventually come to your door. And as parents, when you see stuff like, oh, let's go to drag queen story hour and sit on these convicted sex offenders' laps. Parents, what the hell are you doing? You're not supposed to be your child's friend. You are supposed to raise them to be fully functioning adults who can take care of themselves and make sound decisions with their life. This has gone way too far for too long. I don't care if it was a month. I don't care if it was 6. We are years into this nonsense. Years. No, but and it's not stopping. I don't care. Look, it is literally, it's authoritarianism against freedom, but it's also morality versus, I don't even know what to call it because it's way worse than immorality. When people are questioning why, like Vice President Pence, I am never in the room alone with a woman that isn't my wife. Oh, why? Are you scared of yourself? Are you scared you're going to do? Have you seen what's happened in the world? That's why. Because people are snakes. It just takes one accusation and you're done. The man is smart and he's respectful of his marriage and his wife. I didn't agree with everything he did, but that was one of them. And I know that rant didn't have a lot to do, but we need heroes like Bridger. We need men like Bridger. And we need little girls who know how to appreciate real men, strong men, masculine men. And thank God, this little girl, she's going to have high expectations of whoever it is that she lets into her life. And that is what we need. We need higher expectations. We need to hold people to higher standards. Because what we got now ain't working. It is not working. So yes, Bridger, I hope you become a Marine one day. The Corps would love to have you. For sure. But let me see. Oh! Okay, so a donation message side. I'll go through that really quick. We've got Raj Williams with 10 Canadian dollars says, thanks for discussing war movies this week and for the service of all who serve, have served, and sacrificed. Hashtag freedom, freedom ain't free. Thank you, Raj. Yes, thank you to all the vets out there. If any of you are watching, this one's for you. War movies, military movies, it just seemed fitting considering it is Veterans Day. Bastard for $5. You're late. I was like 2 minutes. I'm here now. We're here. Bastard for another $5 says, rewatched Speed this week and I couldn't stop laughing at the thought you and Sandra Bullock sound alike. I sound like Sandra Bullock? Well, thank you. Can I go be in Speed with young Keanu Reeves? I love that movie. There's only one. There's only one Speed. Okay? Yes. Cal G for $2 says, just here to drop some stonks off for you. If I had a top 5 for war films, it would be Red Tails, Saving Private Ryan, Full Metal Jacket, Fury, and Apocalypse Now. Woo, those are great. Red Tails and Fury weren't on here, but yes, absolutely. Those are really good films as well. Like I said, guys, this list is not all inclusive. It's not. But these are just some really great ones. And keep dropping suggestions in the chat. You know, there's dozens, if not hundreds, of fantastic military and war films out there. And I could not, if I tried to name them all, we would be here for 3 years. So yeah, absolutely. I think so. We've been going for almost 2 hours now. I really appreciate everybody stopping by. You're all fantastic. Thank you so much for all the support. I hope you guys are really enjoying these nostalgia streams. They are a lot of fun for me. I get to show you guys some of the stuff that I really love. Some of the stuff that means a lot to me. And you know, it's just a lot of fun. This is all stuff. These are all films. I'm never gonna put anything on here that I don't love. So I hope that this was as much fun for you guys as it was for me. Happy Veterans Day and Armistice Day to all the vets around the world, and especially here in America. And a happy 246th. I know it was yesterday, but a happy 246th to all of my fellow Devil Dogs. I love you all. You all mean a lot to me, and I hope that you guys keep coming back and stick around, and that you're getting some value out of these streams, and you're not just like, you know, she talks a lot, but there's nothing in it really for me. But I just wanted to let you guys know how much you mean to me, and thank you so much, everybody, for all of the support. And I will see you next week. Everybody take care. Have a great night.